Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. My name is Geneviève Zubrzitsky. I'm professor of sociology and director of the Weiser Center for Europe and Eurasia. And we're extremely pleased to have you with us this afternoon on this very gray, rainy afternoon. This shows how committed the Albanian community is to Albania and Albanian life. Thank you. This is a very special event that's co-sponsored by the Weiser Center for Europe and Eurasia, the Albanian American Student Organization here at the University of Michigan, and the Detroit area and Ann Arbor Albanian community. The event was conceived by students, and I will leave it to them the honor of introducing our special guest. And before I do so, however, I'd like to say a few words about the Weiser Center's Albanian-related initiatives and activities. In 2014, the Albanian American Student Organization and the local Albanian community, together with the Weiser Center, established a Babo Fellowship for undergraduate students to study, conduct research, and pursue internships in Albania and its neighboring countries. We could not have done this without the generous gift of Sava Lechai, and we're very grateful for her willingness to work with the students in the Weiser Center in our efforts to promote Albanian studies. And she contributes to the Albanian Fund internships, to fund internships and scholarships for students. So thank you very much, Sava. We're currently at work to expand Albanian studies at Michigan. We're working closely with Michael Galati, who's professor of anthropology and Weiser Center affiliate. He has a long-standing research experience in Albania. And although he could not be with us today, he will be back late tonight, but early enough to meet with Amina tomorrow morning. And he could not be here today, but I want to convey our warm thanks for his dedicated work promoting knowledge about Albania's archaeological legacy and for his enthusiastic support for establishing an Albanian studies program at the University of Michigan. This is the next step for us after creating the Albanian American Students Association, the Albanian Fellowship. Now we want to really work with people in the university, with LSNA, with the Albanian community to raise funding to create an Albanian studies program at Michigan with Albanian language instruction and Albanian history, culture, and the history of Southeastern Europe where Albanian speakers live in large numbers. I'd like to thank also Tina Sula for her efforts to inspire the Albanian American Student Organization. Thank you. And for providing guidance to students on programming and fundraising. And last but not least, a word of gratitude to the Albanian students who proudly bring their culture to campus. Many are the children of recent immigrants, and many of them are first in their families to attend college in the United States. They're bright, they're hardworking, and they're full of initiative. And it's thanks to them that today we have the honor and the pleasure of hosting Ms. Amina Shumulai. But I will leave it to our student, Hana Berashai, to introduce our guests and to tell us more about the student initiative at Michigan. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I want to take a moment before introducing Amina to say thank you for coming to this event today and to support not just a fellow member of our community, but the Weiser Center's Albania Fellowship and the Albanian American Student Organization. I see a lot of familiar people here, but if you don't know me, my name is Hana Berishai, and I'm a senior studying political science and international security, cooperation, and norms. Along with being a student, I am also a work study at the Weiser Center since 2017 when I applied for an internship here, or in Albania through their program. But I'm also the president of the Albanian American Student Organization here on campus. As president of ASO, I work to coordinate social and professional events with the students here on campus to promote Albanian culture and fellowship on and off campus. Through the organization, we have events centered around professional development, volunteering, social work, and we even just have meetings where we do the vault for like an hour and a half. That's true. We also work with other local ASO chapters at Wayne State, Oakland University, University of Detroit Mercy, and Michigan State to organize events in order to raise money for charities such as Fundia Vendrusha. This is not something that we do just to put on our resumes and look good on our college applications and work applications, but it's something that's deeply personal to us to give back to other Albanians and charities here and abroad. So when my boss asked me if I had any ideas of an influential Albanian person we could invite here to talk at the Weiser Center, Amina Çınmulay was one of the first people who came to my mind. Although she's had an incredibly successful modeling career working with brands such as YSL, Chanel, Gucci, Robert Cavalli, and more, she always knew that she was destined for work in philanthropy. At a young age, she witnessed her mother's generosity when she was constantly harboring, hand-feeding, dressing, and taking care of fugitives of war during the Balkan conflicts of the 90s. This was a great risk for her family and others in the village, but the selflessness of risking everything for those less fortunate and the continued willingness to give them everything they possibly could spare left a long-lasting impression on her character. In the summer of 2017, after her first day in the field as part of Fundia Vendrusha, she realized that promoting humanitarian endeavors and organizations was her real calling in life. Her involvement allowed her to see the behind-the-scenes work, as well as gave her the opportunity to interact personally with those who work for the organization and for the families whom they help. Returning from that trip, all she could think about was her next trip, and in 2018, she returned again with the help of money raised through GoFundMe, which they've used to secure food supplies, appliances, and even homes for families in need. And it's thanks to people like her and people like us in the community that we can do these things and that it's possible. So, without further ado, a round of applause for Ms. Amina Çınmulay for coming here and for her living. Yeah. She is currently sitting as COO of Fundia Vendrusha and is actively planning her next trip to Albania this summer. So before she gets up to talk to her, we wanted to show a video that she provided to us for it's about 2-3 minutes, kind of just showing the work that she does over there. Thank you guys again for coming.
We're almost there. We're coming for you people. Përshëndetje, si e? A je mirë? Si ke punën?
Takojmë kesh ton ka
Si e nuse? A je mirë? Vash do t'i ki vetë. Është net. This is bad. This is so bad. Kur të thëmë se kam pa zi e ma zi se kështu s'kam pa, së bashkut me Fundia Vendrusha do ju marrë një shtëpi juve në Tiranë. Të kaloni me jetu në Tiranë. Doni? Don? Po? Bravo! E qëtë mos qaj, se s'është nevoja, je burneshti se ke kalua ma të zezat se kjo. Do jesh i pari? Dhe Marcel, futu. Shife pak? A? Çka thua? E gëzoshi shpinë, inshallah në shnet fëmijëve, shnet tanin.
Na keni nga dishmëri, dhe sjellim sot edhe ushqime që t'i keni për 5-6 muaj. Edhe ta gëzoni shpinë, nuk kam sa me thonë më.
There's no roof, there's nothing. Now you're gonna get to see it. The mother doesn't know, but I'm gonna give her the news that you guys and us are gonna make a difference for them. Herë në funit kur isha unë këtu, ti më tregove se këtu jetoni, këtu flani, këtu hani, këtu pini, këtu jetoni, këtu gjitha i bani. A di pse jemi ardhur sot me Fundia Vendrushës bashkut? Pse? Me tregua se do ta punojmë shtëpinë për juve. Shumë. Kesh mirë. Kesh mirë.
Takzoni.
Faleminderit shumë mirë. Faleminderit shumë. Mashallah, shumë faleminderit.
Që thëmë ta gëzoni shtëpinë dhe të kaloni një jetë të bukur me në shtëpisë, së bashku me 2 djemë që keni. Ju dhamë fjalën, e mbajtëm besën, së bashku me Fundiaven, ju sjellëm një shtëpi të re. Ciao! Okay, so I don't know, can Brian hear me? I think it's on. Are we all good? Hi, everyone. I was crying, so if I look like I'm going, excuse me. You know, I think, first of all, thank you everyone for coming. I wasn't sure how many people were going to show up, but I sure knew that if any of you followed me through my journey on Instagram, you would probably want to hear a little bit more about what I did in Albania, what I'm going to do, and what we can do together. Yeah, I have snots, so excuse me. Someone please give a tissue. Bravo. This is raw and this is real. It happens. Thank you. Since I had my children, I just tend to cry a lot more. So if you're a mother, you understand. I don't know what happens with you hormonally, but you just all. So thank you to the University of Michigan for inviting me. Thank you to the students, the American Albanian Students Association. I am truly honored. I am beyond excited. I am a teeny little nervous, maybe a little bit more than I used to be when I would walk down these endless runways. Because what I'm going to share with you, I've never shared before. I have never told anyone my story, my journey, how I got to where I am today. So I hope if this talk in any way, shape, or form comes to something in contact with your internal lining, with your heart, with your higher power, whatever that may be, and it teaches you something, or it gives you hope, or it makes you want to leave here and give back, then I've done my job. And even if it's just one of you. Because I feel like one person can't change the world, but if I can change one person's world, then I've done good. And so my story starts here in Michigan. I was born here. I was born here 34 years ago. I am almost 35. And my parents came to Michigan like most of your parents as immigrants, and in hope of seeking a better life for themselves and a better future for me and my siblings. And they came in illegally, like some of you. And, you know, my dad came here, and then my mom followed after. And 3 of us were born here. One came after, that was born in Yugoslavia at the time. And soon after establishing a pretty good life for themselves, my dad was faced with deportation, which a lot of family members are facing currently, maybe. And my dad left voluntarily. He said, I'm going to have to leave. And he picked up everything he worked so hard for and just said to my mom, you're 6 months pregnant. I'm going to leave you behind because you might give birth to a boy. And if it's a son, I don't want him to feel like, Mom, you have never given me the ability to have the dream, the American passport. So if I want to go back, I can go. And my mom stayed with 3.5 kids. She was 6 months pregnant, and she gave birth to my brother. He was the first male born. You know how important that is in the Albanian culture. And soon after, she followed, and she went with my dad to Montenegro. And what happened next was something that I don't remember, but looking back, I can't even imagine what it would be like as an adult at that time, not today, to be going back from a land of free to a third world country, but it was. My childhood was amazing in so many ways. I grew up very simple, and some of you, especially some familiar faces that grew up in similar backgrounds, know what life is like in the village. It's very simple. It's Groundhog's Day. It just goes like this. But what was so simple at times was pretty hard and kind of dark. I remember times like the wars. I remember the war in Bosnia. I remember the war in Kosovo. I remember that in one day things just changed. All of a sudden there was army trucks, Yugoslavian army trucks going around our homes, and I just didn't understand what was happening. But because the war had just ended in Bosnia, it felt normal. Looking back, there's nothing normal about that. There's nothing normal about someone with machine guns walking around your house, checking to see if there's refugees passing through your neighborhood. Or there's nothing normal about being in a class and all of a sudden hearing a bomb go off in the distance and a shatter of a window just breaks down. I don't know why. And maybe this was nothing in comparison to what some of your family members have gone through. But it was not normal. Although everything felt normal at the time, it just felt like, hey, everybody's dying there and everyone is dying here, and this is what life is all about, and we have to just survive. But, you know, that shall pass too, and us humans, we're incredible species. We're so strong. It's almost like steel can melt and we could just go right through it. And we all fought together, we survived together, and some were brokenhearted more than others, but my childhood happy memories too. Trust me, there was some really sweet, happy memories. I remember as a kid, one of my favorite things was whenever we called it śnieg, which was a sign of spring. I don't know if somebody knows what that is. But whenever there was a sign of spring that would come through, the flowers would start to blossom, and this was my favorite. I would literally lie on the field of grass, and it didn't have to go too far. It was right down the street. And I would just look at the sky, and I'd remember all these shapes that would form from clouds. And to me, that was, as a kid, I just loved that. There was nothing that I could do more than just sit there and like lay down and stare. And it was so pretty. And mind you, this wasn't necessarily something so luxurious. It was just simple. But this luxury doesn't necessarily mean that it comes in materialistic and big forms and shapes. Sometimes the smallest, simplest things can give you the biggest luxury in life. And I remember as a kid, it's so funny, I was telling my sister, I said, do you remember this story? And she goes, oh, of course I do. So my grandfather had a cousin, because my grandfather didn't have brothers, and he was one of the elderly ones in the village, and he literally always had a stick. And he would walk with it behind his back, and this was his walking. And what he would say is, I have no idea, but he talked to himself the whole time. And sometimes he would go like this. But he always ordered sheep. He had so many sheep, and us as kids, our favorite thing was to do is run through the sheep so the sheep were charged off, and he'd say, like chasing us behind with them, which means may the devil eat you. How drastic is that? But these are things, you know, that as a kid I'll forever remember, and as simple as they were, they brought me so much joy. And I think maybe this is why I have such a deep thing inside of me to make sure that I pass on to my children. And I'm reading someone else's note. Thanks, Genevieve. Oh, our upbringing must have been a little bit different. But the truth is, at the end of the day, for me, by then, I felt like I was in this place where I had come from a world where I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what United States was, but whenever my cousins would come and visit from Michigan, I always felt like they had so much to offer. Like, I remember the first time I saw a, what is that, cassette? Like, yeah, bravo. Walkman. Oh my God, I was like, what is this? I'd never seen a Walkman. And I'm like, and so that's when I started questioning why my parents left. Why was I in a country that I wasn't given the ability to have an upbringing that I could have had? And that's when things started raising, when I started noticing the way my mom was being treated, the way my aunts were being treated, the way the ladies in the village were being treated. And I didn't understand. I just did not know how such a smart, resourceful woman my mother was, yet she didn't even have a dime in her pocket to make a decision for herself. I didn't get that, and it didn't sit well with me. And from a young age, I just felt like I had to do something, not because there was anything wrong with what my mother did. My mother worked so hard to raise the 6 of us. And she, I think, did a really good job. But I wanted something different. I just wanted something more. I love being a mother today more than anything. But that's not going to stop me from having an identity as me, as Amina. Because now my mother no longer is alive, and sometimes I think, what if I got to ask her, Mom, is there something that you wanted to do for you that made you feel good besides just, being a mom, a wife? Because that's all she knew. She never drove. She never had a real job of her own. She always had to ask my dad for money. And I wasn't okay with it. So that's when at age of 15, I was like, listen, either it's going to be I'm going to study and I'm going to make my way out of here, or some miracle of God's is going to happen to me. And Fiola will know. She was one of them. You should be a model. It's like, a model? I'm like, what are you guys talking about? I grew up in a strict Muslim home. Like, this was strict. There is no way. My older sister was not allowed to shave her legs till she got married. This is how strict I grew up. And there are some of you that are laughing, but I know it happened to you too. And so I remember my dad had to come to the United States. Finally, after 14 years, they got approved for their green cards. They had to come to the United States, and elite model look came into Yugoslavia. And I was like, ticket, I'm gone. I went, I applied, I entered. I won Montenegro. They wanted to take us to Belgrade to compete for the Yugoslavia competition. I went. I won that. That was drastic, an Albanian winning in middle of Yugoslavia at the time. That didn't sit right with them. Too bad, I say. And then I went to the world competition, and that's where I was placed top 15 with elite, and they gave me a worldwide contract. And that's where my career kind of started. And a couple of years of really tough times and some really good times. I don't want to go into details about it. But I graced the covers of Vogue and Elle and Marie Claire and walked the runways of whatever Hannah said. But I don't want to talk about it. My main focus was what happened to me after. What happened to me after is I fell in love. I fell in love, and my husband is the best person in the world to me because he gives me all the support that my dad never gave to my mom. And this to me, oh my God, I'm gonna cry. This to me means more than anything in this world. There's no wealth, there's no power, there's nothing that can be given to a person besides support. This to me means everything, because without someone's support that you lay next to every single night, stories that you want to share with, thoughts that you want to share with, you can't wake up the next day feeling good next to them. So I knew this was the person that's either going to destroy my heart or he's going to give me beautiful children and we're going to start this beautiful tree of life. And sure enough, we did. And so came Ella. And Ella, when I had my first daughter, when I had Ella, I said, you know, I want to take her to Montenegro. And my husband is like, well, maybe she's too little and I've never been. And I'm like, well, then you're coming with us. And I brought both of them to Montenegro. He lasted 4 days. And to my surprise, he has a village boy down deep inside because he survived the village like you wouldn't imagine. He said, there's what, one bathroom? I said, yes. We're all going to share it. We just have to sign the list. Who's going to go first? We come from different economic backgrounds, but we come from a same home of love. And this, to me, is what keeps me grounded and what keeps me united with my husband. And this is what we're working so hard to teach our daughters. And that year, I brought Ella, and I said to my husband, okay, well, now since you're leaving, we're going to stay for a month, and we're going to enjoy, and, you know, she's going to love it. And he goes, okay, well, what's going to happen if she gets sick? I said, oh, my God, just leave. She will be fine. I survived these grounds. I used to drink water from the puddle. You guys, I didn't tell you something. When we were kids, this is funny now, but at the time, I was like, okay, it's normal. we would literally get together with all the children of different villages, and this is like a mile down the road. It's not like here where you got to drive 45 minutes. And we would all take the cows out at the same time. This was the highlight of our day, okay? We would take our cows out, and everybody had to do their share. So whether it was you had to steal potatoes from your mom's house, you had to steal from your grandmother's meat, where she would hang and smoke her meat, and we would take it, and we'd go out in the fields, and we'd let the cows, real grass-fed cows, guys, real grass. We'd let them go out, and then literally we'd set bonfires, and sometimes some were higher than lower, and we'd put the potatoes and the meat under, and we'd cook it, and we'd eat it, and we were singing, we'd jump over bongs, someone's hair would set on fire. And these were things that, you know, I would never do anything to change them, because this is what molded me. This is what turned me into the person I am today. If I didn't go through those experiences, I don't necessarily think I would be who I am. I really don't. And so when I brought Ella, and to see Ella play with the same grounds, to see my home through her eyes, this for me was just incredible. My favorite thing when I brought her was outside of my home where I grew up and where my dad now lives. We had a little court, and there was a basketball there, and all the kids from the neighbor's house come and play. And all of a sudden, one day, it's summer, it's hot, I hear my daughter's voice through the window. And this to me was, I said, oh my God, this is amazing. I get to have my child that God has given her everything, to have her here, and she's playing with the same rocks that I grew up with, literally. And so this really sparked something inside of me, this connection to my roots, to where I come from, to the love that I have for my people, from what I saw my mother do when I was just a kid, to what I see myself do with my children now. I knew that whatever I was going to do in life, it had to do with going back to my roots, going back to people that I grew up with, going back to the ones that maybe can do the things that I get to do now. And that year, I decided that I was going to find a nonprofit that I was going to go work with. I wasn't quite sure which nonprofit it was going to be. And then one day, a friend of mine said to me, there's this young guy, his name is Arbor Haidari. You should really follow him. He just started this nonprofit. And I said, oh, great. And I had looked into a bunch of nonprofits, and let me just tell you, oh my God, I love Albania, but God, there's so much corruption. And I said to her, I said, you know, I'm not sure. Here he is. He's a young guy. She's like, just follow him. He just started this nonprofit. Maybe you never know. He might turn out right. So I followed him, and he was doing little work. He was giving food to some families and here and there. And next thing I knew, he was building his first home, and he was building his second home. And I reached out to him, and I said, listen, I would love to come, and I would love to have a little experience on the field to see what you guys do as a nonprofit. And he said, I'm happy to show you. So I went that morning, I crossed the border on foot, as a lot of us probably do. And I got there, he took me to his headquarters, and I said to him, wow, this is impressive. What I saw was something that I didn't think was going to be there. It was as organized as you can get. There was shelves, there was papers, there was files, there was a computer. Everything that was on paper was on the computer. And I said, what is this? He goes, pick whichever you want. And I said, pick whichever what? He goes, those are all families. You guys, it wasn't 1, 2, 10, 1,000. It was like thousands of files that he had collected over the years. He had gone to every single family. These are families that have photos, and it's like a piece of paper like this. And in there it says, Familia Chunmulai, in need of what they need, how many Antar familia, how many family members, what do they want? Do you know what the saddest thing was? In every single file that I opened, the #1 request people had was food. Like, this is sick. They didn't want a car, they didn't want a TV, they didn't want a new bicycle, they wanted food. The smallest, simplest thing, things that we take advantage of, things that we get to have and dump. And I said to him, so what you're telling me is that the future of 3 families depends on which file I'm gonna pick? I was like, I can't do that. He goes, Amina, you have to. And I did, and I just literally picked 3 families because I didn't know what I was getting myself into, and I went. And what I saw was horrific. You guys saw a little bit, but when you really see it in person, this is far from normal. This is far from anything I have lived through. I lived so simple. This was beneath any sort of form of humanity. The animals don't live like that. I mean, I understand if there is a shack, but this is like you have ground soils. There's no, even though people, you realize that people work so hard to, even if it's not a beautiful home, they work so hard to make it their own home. And when I saw this old lady, I went, and it was an old elderly lady. She had her husband. Her husband was half blind, and she had a daughter with special needs. Her daughter was in her 40s. And I went and I brought her food, and she wouldn't let go of me. You guys saw her in the video. I'm not sure if you remember. She had the white little scarf. She wouldn't let go of me. And when I said to her, I have to leave, I have other families to go see, she turned around, she goes, Aman po ktheju per Bayram. This to me, I'm like shaking now thinking about her, because for her to tell me come back for a holiday, this lady has nothing. But I bet you no matter how hard, she had nothing in her house. For Bayram, she was going to put one little soak with water, and she was going to invite me into her house. That night I went home. I don't even really remember how I crossed the border. I got home. It was so late. I went home and I was empty. I was drained. I was gone. I called my husband. He was in New York. He's 6 hours behind. And I said, you don't understand. I couldn't tell him. I couldn't express how I felt because I felt so shallow inside from what I'd seen. And I feel like I am so lucky. But in so many ways, I felt, oh my God, I'm so ungrateful for what I have. These people have nothing. They don't have food. Yet I'm finishing the end of the bread and I'm just dumping it and I throw it in the garbage. Guess what? I never did that again. And so that year I went back home. Soon after I got pregnant again. I had another girl. This time Mia was born. And once again, after I gave birth to Mia, I said to my husband, honey, I need to go back to Albania. And of course, as a blanket wraps around a person, he goes, I got you. What can I do? And I said, nothing. I said, I'm going to start this thing all on my own. I want to start a GoFund. I'd never done a GoFund before. Now I see them quite a bit. I think it's famous. I think it's good. I think it's a form of community getting together and learning about different causes where maybe 10 years ago we wouldn't have been able to learn, and now we know and we can give back. And so I said to him, I'm going to start a GoFund and I'm going to set a goal of $20,000. I think that's fair enough. That's going to feed enough families. Maybe I even build a home, depending on where. Because if you go in Tirana, it's really expensive. If you go in a village, you can build it for $10,000. Yes. You could build a home for a family for $10,000. And he said to me, great. He goes, I'm going to send a message to a few of my friends, and I just want them to know what you're doing and raise awareness. Fantastic. I opened it, I went to sleep, I woke up the next day, and I'm looking at my GoFund. I'm like, that's $60,000. I'm like, what is happening? I'm like, this is crazy. Do you know what I can do with $60,000 in Albania? I'm like, I can build multiple homes. I can feed hundreds of families. Like, this is insane. And then so came the next day, and the next day, and the next day, and the GoFund is still open. And we have raised $160,000 today. So, what started like a teeny little dream, now it's become a big reality not of just mine. It's been a big reality of all of us together. And I hope it's going to continue to be all of our reality, because the truth is I can't do what I know my purpose in life is, which is to go and find these families and give them what they need, give them the infrastructure to start a new life, give them the ability to give the children an education, have the ability to take them to a hospital. I know I can't do that without your guys' help. I really can't. Because as I told you, I can change one person's life. But if I have multiple people come and join me, if we're forced and go together, we can change thousands of people's lives. And it's not just for now. It's something that we do so we can set them to build a life for their future. So I took that money. I went back to Montenegro, this time with both of my girls. And this time I got to see my little one that couldn't even crawl, like eat dirt. And I was like, whatever, you'll survive. I went back and I went to Albania. And what I did is I stayed a month this time. And I literally crossed that border almost every single day. I would park my car. Sometimes, oh my God, sometimes I would cross it during the day, which was fine. And then, of course, I'm like, leave me alone. I'm just trying to go get some work done. And sometimes I would cross it in the night, and sometimes I would cross it with somebody helping me cross, and sometimes I would cross it with dogs chasing me, which was not cute or fun. But the most important thing is when we got in the other side, the amount of families you see in need, you don't realize until you start digging and looking for them. Because when you're driving in these beautiful big roads, there's pretty little homes, there's pretty big homes. It's because all of us that leave the country, we migrate to do a better life, we go and give back and we build those homes. But there's a lot beyond those homes. If you just dig a little bit deeper, then all of a sudden you see homes like the Flutura's home. To reach Flutura, which Flutura is a mother of 4 children, to reach Flutura's home, we had to drive, oh my God, we were on the asphalt road for hours. Then we went off the asphalt road, which I don't know if you saw, but we had to drive on the edge of the mountain with like gravel. At any point, the car could have just tipped over, slid, or whatever. And then we had to hike 45 minutes down to get to her house. This wasn't like a normal California hike this was a goat trail. I mean, at times it was so tight that you would literally I don't even know how I did it, but I did it. But when we got down, her husband had just died. I don't know if you guys remember that boy that greeted me on that video. That's her 15-year-old son. He looks like he's 10. That's not normal. That's malnutrition. That's not real life, because a 15-year-old boy, we all know what they look like if they're healthy. He greeted me and he had no soul in him. This boy, the week prior, had to carry his dead father up that goat trail, which coming down it's 45 minutes, and going back up with a dead body on your shoulders, I don't know how long it took him. And the lady was just lifeless, and the kids, they didn't even know. The little one, Marcel, with the teeth on the side, I wanted to squeeze him. He was just the only one smiling. The rest of them were just shells. They don't know what happiness means. They can't even be sad, you guys. They don't have emotions. We brought them into their home. You saw, they all just sat like this. Maybe Marcel smiled a little bit because he's a baby and maybe there's hope. We're still struggling with the 15-year-old. And we took them into the home. We brought them this beautiful house. It was the funds that I raised thanks to all of you guys and everybody else that donated, from $5 to $1,000 to even $10,000. But what I'm trying to say is these people don't deserve. These children did not ask to be born where they were born. These women maybe didn't want to have all these children, but they were not able to say no. So now all of a sudden we have kids into this world that do not have the ability to do anything to better their life. Nothing. The only thing they wait for is someone like you, me, whoever, to come and miraculously find them and give them an opportunity to do something different for their life. And I really don't know. I don't know what's right. I don't know what's wrong. I just know that if we can, and we all can, because we have the opportunity, we work so hard. I know I come from immigrant families. I know how hard we work. I mean, if we can somehow, and it doesn't have to be through me. I don't want anything. I just want you guys to go back. I want the young people to go back. There's so much there that we have to do. It's not just 1, 2 family, it's thousands of families. What I saw, it's heartbreaking, you guys. It's not normal to feel like that. And you guys need to know that where you come from, it's beautiful, it's simple, it's gorgeous. But you're so lucky that you have everything here. And they don't. So sometimes if you really are going to go to Starbucks, just put that $1 damn on the side and collect it for a year and send it to somebody. And you don't have to send it to me. Just send it to someone. Send it to a relative that knows of somebody that can buy. Do you know that $150 can buy 6 months' supply for a family food? 6 months. This is $150. There's so much we can do. But we just have to do it. We just have to get up and say, you know what? Today I'm going to do good. And as I always say in Spirit Mamit, I always do good. I just say it. I take my money, I put it aside, and whenever I see someone that's in need, even if it's in the middle of the street, I take and I go. In my head, I'm like, this isn't Spirit Mamit. Give it in soul of somebody that has parted. Believe that when you do good into this world, it goes back somewhere else. I'm a firm believer that giving back doesn't make you poor. It really doesn't, because then you make more room to bring in others. It's like one door closes, another one opens. There's a reason why you got to shut something so something else opens. Otherwise, you would not know that door is ever going to open. And, you know, maybe I need to stop talking. But anyway, this is really something that I wanted to share with all of you. This is my journey, this is my story, and we all have our own journeys, and we all have a destiny that's set for us, but how we get there is what you decide. You are your own path's writer, so you write your own path. And if you decide that somehow this talk in any way, shape, or form has helped you realize that there's so much more beyond our nice car and beyond our nice jewels, then go and give back. So if you have any questions, I'm here. I need a hug.
Great. Thank you. We have time for questions, discussion, and we have people with microphones. So Gita, Liz, if you can raise your hand very high so that they can see you. Come in the front, maybe. I think that's how you're going to see people. And I will let you manage.
Yes, thank you. So don't be shy. Ask me anything you want. I, as you guys might know from my social media, don't really keep too many secrets. Hi.
Hi, Amina. My name is Val. Thank you so much for that speech. That was very inspiring. My question to you is, as you continue with this work, which is wonderful work, what are some of your worries in the future as you continue, doing what you're doing, which is amazing, helping so many people? I can't help but think that there must be something that you must be worried about,
I worry about a lot. My God, I wake up in the morning, first thing I was like, my kid okay? Did she fall off the bed?
As far as those people go.
So as far as those people go, the only thing I can say is there's so much to worry about current situation, the way they are, is that whatever I'm going to do with the empowerment of everybody else, with the community, I'm hoping that it's going to change a path, because giving just food, it's not enough for these people. That is something that they're asking for because they're coming from a complete broken home, a broken heart. They could never, beyond their wildest dreams, hope that someone would come and build them a house or take them from those remote areas and bring them down where there's life, schools, ambulances, stores. So I really think I don't have a bigger worry besides that. I've come to give up on the government. I just do things because we from the private sector have to do it. I can't rely on the government to do anything. I've been trying to collect medical records on mothers that are pregnant, and I've asked for them 3 months ago. I still haven't gotten them because I'm working with a nonprofit here to donate prenatal vitamins to give them to women that are pregnant. It's been hell. So I've come to realize that I have to do everything on my own. We have to do everything on our own. Arbor works so hard with his team when I'm not there to keep up with these families. We keep up with them. We go check on them. We put if there's 2 family members, if there's a mother and a father, we'll put one of them to work. So once we take care of a family, they're taken care of. I know they're in good hands. It's how many families I'm not getting to, the areas that I don't know about or we don't know about is what worries me. Because I think I've seen thousands. I actually think there's tens of thousands. Because these are just 5 hours away from the city. But what happens if you go 10 hours away that maybe nobody's ever gone? Anyone else? Don't be shy. I know you want to ask.
First of all, I'm so honored to have witnessed you in person. Like you, my parents came here, and I was raised here, and I didn't realize how blessed I was till I went back to Montenegro as an adult. I was married with children, and the first time I went back, I went to my mom's village, and like you said, it was just, I cried. I couldn't believe I was sitting in, the same house that my mom was as a little girl, and I stayed 2 weeks. I went back again with my husband and 3 kids. I stayed 9 weeks, and I got to see, like you said, outside of, the cities and stuff. And as someone, as normal, working mom like me, I'm a school teacher. I don't make a whole lot. I'm not very famous like you. I do give back in my own way. I have a cousin. I have lots of poor cousins. But my biggest concern, Amina, and I know you have, I hope you have the power, and God willing, you will, is medical care. When I went back the whole time, I wasn't worried about the food because I knew somebody's going to provide, like you said, a potato or some bukadiyot or something. What if I get sick? What if my kids get sick? And then you see kids, like little kids that don't have access to vaccines or glasses or braces or little things. What can we do, the little people here today, help out? Or who can we talk to? Or
Is
there something in the
yeah,
works?
of course. Yeah. So I'll go a little bit more into that. So not this fall when I went, this September, end of September when I went, actually one of our biggest requests was from children that had a problem with their eyes, vision. So what we did is we gathered from each village, we put 10, 15, whatever it was, because it doesn't really cost a lot to get someone glasses, and we've gotten them glasses. The good thing is we have doctors. The biggest issue is when you go into the medical field, unless you're a doctor yourself, there's not too much I can do. So I know of a really young guy, God, why am I blacking out? Out of California, he's a doctor. Mario, bravo, thank you. Ooh, he's gonna kill me. So Mario Ademai is a doctor in Los Angeles. I've met with him. I've supported his cause. And what he does is he goes back to Albania once a year, sadly, because he's still working. He's a young doctor. And he opens a Albanian clinic for the day for free. So, and he keeps records of everyone. He keeps records of whoever he's visiting. And he checks up on them, I guess, every single year. They have to go. They bring it to like Shkodra, the Chandra Shkodra, they did Pogradec. I'm not sure what other towns they did, but I think quite a few other ones. Again, I tried to get a piece of paper 3 months ago, and I still haven't gotten it. So that is a subject that is a whole caliber that I would not even know how to start or where to start. I just know that Mario Ademai, that's a doctor, he goes back, and actually there's a lot of American doctors that go along with him, and they, from diabetes to EKGs to vaccines, they've done it all. I touched a little bit about prenatal vitamins because what I've noticed the more I spoke to families while I was there is that women don't go and get checkups when they're pregnant. And I think it's just because it's normal, and sometimes it's too far, or, oh, you'll be fine. What is it? You're just pregnant. So the one thing that I wanted to do, and I'm working with a nonprofit here in the States, is to deliver prenatal vitamins so we can go and basically break them into areas and give them to mothers that are pregnant. So I know that doesn't answer your questions. I'm so sorry, but if anything, this is a question that probably maybe Mario can have a talk and he can tell you guys. Hi.
Hi. I have a comment. My name is Yasmina Chunmulai. And I grew up watching Amina. My favorite thing when I was young was to go to the drugstore CVS with my grandma or my mom, and I would look for Amina's magazines on the rack. And growing up, Amina became my forefront role model from modeling. That was my main thing. I would talk, Amina, I want to see Amina. And just recently, as I'm in college and I'm seeing her be involved with this philanthropy, I can't help but notice how much of a trailblazer that she's been for not only just women in general, but Albanian women specifically when it comes to being independent, having decisions for your own, like she talked about with her mother and her father. And I just want to say thank you because it's been a lot for me. And I know for all the women in here, she's been a big influence. So
I love you. Thank you.
Hi, Amina.
Hi,
I'm Afrodita. I was born and raised in Michigan. I lived in Albania after the fall of communism. I lived in Kosovo after the war. I've lived in Washington, D.C. I've lived in Manhattan. I've seen it all, but what I'm most proud of is also being able to go back to my parents' village and see my grandfather's joy at his city slicker granddaughter try to chop wood. Why do I mention that? Because communication is key, and I think with technology, we love seeing the Instagram stories. We love knowing about this. But I feel with the newer or younger generation, I should say, there seems to be a lack of, how shall I put this, and how to communicate properly. Everybody wants it instantly and everybody wants it now. You've been in the public eye. What's one of your biggest rewards that you have gotten from it, or your biggest lessons in the age of technology?
Oh boy, one of the biggest rewards?
One that you want to share.
So listen, you're right. We live in a world that nothing is enough, and whatever is bigger, we think there's bigger, and when we think this piece of grass is greener, I'm going to look for brighter, greener grass. So obviously, I think as long as we come to a point in life where we discover a balance, I think this is the hardest thing. Balancing your good with bad, balancing your hard with easy, balancing your Instagram with no Instagram. I am to blame first. But I think at the end of the day, one of the things that I've gotten is the fact that I've been able to create a community, to share with them what my life is like, whether it's good, fantastic, but also the hardships. I am one person that I don't really hold too much to perfection. I am who I am. This is how I am. When you guys invited me to speak, I was like, oh my God, I've never graduated a university. What am I going to say? But then I'll turn around and I'm like, these people know exactly what I sound like. They've heard me speak. I'm just going to speak to them the way I speak. There's no big words. There's no, fancy phrases. It's just simple. And maybe it just all goes back because that's how I was raised, simple. So, and one of the things that, it's least exciting is the craziness that comes from social media. So I'm sorry, I'm sure some of you have heard me when I get super excited and upset and my Albanian blood boils and I'm like, oh my God, why would you say that to my children? And it comes with the territory. So of course, 5 minutes later, I turn around, I take a deep breath and I'm like, it's okay, it's fine. The truth is we shouldn't let someone from, whether it's a mile down the road or 30,000 miles away, ruin my day that I've worked so hard that morning when I woke up and I said, today I'm going to have a good day. Today is going to be my day, and there's nothing anyone can say that can bring that day down for me. That is you driving that road to your destiny. And of course, as soon as someone shoves you down, you're like, you know what? That's indifferent. I shouldn't allow that way of speaking to get to me because I put it out there. We choose as an adult, I choose an adult to put all the contacts that I do on Instagram, so I should be okay. I'm fine with the judgment, but I should be okay with insults too, because
it is what it is. Not everybody's nice, not everybody's perfect. We don't live in a perfect world, so whatever comes with it, we just have to learn and balance it. And that's it. Crickets, crickets.
Hi, Amina. Thank you, first of all, for sharing your story. I know that was difficult, of course. I just want to know what's next for the foundation, if you can share with us, or how we can support in your next
I'm
endeavors.
so sorry, you guys.
It's okay.
What am I doing? So I am lucky enough and sad enough, I wasn't able to spend all the money that I raised. There's so much more. And I am the type of person that when someone sends me something, I will hand deliver it to someone else. And I like to do things myself. I get a fulfillment of love in my internal heart. Like it just bungles in there and I'm like, ah, I love doing this. So I'm going back to Albania in May and I will be there for a month. Actually, I'm going to go to Kosovo for the first time. This is the first time for Njava Ndryshe. So we're going to take our team and we're going to go. We've been collecting a few families. You know, it's really hard, as I said in the beginning of the story, whose file you choose. It's heartbreaking. Whichever you choose is just, one is worse than the other. So for us, it was really important to touch into Kosovo as well because we can't forget that Kosovo needs a lot of help. Although as a country, I can tell you from what I've seen as an outsider, Kosovo is way more well kept than Albania is. And don't forget the war just ended in Kosovo. So I think we definitely will go and try to reach a few more remote areas and see. I know that there's been 2 horrific tragedies that happened recently. One is where the parents of the children got hit. They were on a motorcycle and they died. And the other one is the parents were on the 2nd floor of a home and the children were on the ground floor and the parents burned. So right now we're in the process of getting those 2 families figured. Actually, the family that the parents died in a motorcycle accident have been situated thanks to all the donors. And they're going to live in a beautiful apartment in Tirana. Their school up until college is paid for by Albanians. So it's amazing. And you know, it's like these tragedies happen and then all of a sudden everything else takes pause. But it's heartbreaking because there's so much of that everything else, but you can't move past this tragedy. You have to address it. You can't just brush it and say, well, these were lined up this way. Believe me, at the end of the day, we have files that goes from food to cows. People ask for cows because they live in villages. They want a cow. To water pumps so they can have water because they don't have water, they don't have electricity. They say, forget about electricity, it's too expensive, but give me a water pump so I can get well water. So there's so much that it's going to be done, but this May when I go with both of my girls, we'll be going into Kosovo and we'll be going back to Albania. Oh, one thing I failed to mention, I'm so sorry, I forgot. This was something that was really close to me because this person that we build a home for, I donated from my fund $15,000 from the fund that I raised to a girl that I went to school with. Her name is Lindita Ivezaj. I'm not sure how many of you have watched this on Instagram. But Lindita lost her husband and is a single mother of 5 kids now. When I first found Lindita was living in a motorhome that was the size of 3x6. And it was an ungodly vision what I saw in front of my eyes. I couldn't believe that this girl I went to school with was living in these sort of conditions. She was washing her kids' clothes with charcoal. This was something I hadn't even seen in Albania. I wasn't even looking, to be honest, if there's charcoal in the water, but I looked around and I said, what is that black thing? And she goes, I wash my, and then I remember, oh my God, my mom used to tell me, my grandmother used to wash her clothes with charcoal, right? Is it charcoal in English? Yeah. So we just, with the help of a lot of malsors in Michigan and the help of a lot of malsors in New York, we were able to raise the money because Montenegro is more expensive than Albania. And we finished their home. And she and her 5 children are living in a beautiful home. We have paid for a minibus to take the kids to school for the whole year, and I'm sure it's going to follow the next year. So there's 2 other families that were in the process of finishing their homes. One is Sinishta, and one is a breast cancer survivor mother that has come from Albania into Montenegro seeking a better life. She actually collected her own money, worked so hard, bought her piece of land. She just couldn't, she fell ill. Then she couldn't finish her home, so now we're in the process of finishing that as well. So there's a lot that's been done. There's a lot that's going to be done, and I hope this inspires you to do a lot more. Hi.
All right, great. Well, my question was going to be what's next, but
oh, okay.
that was just asked. But I also want to take the opportunity to say thank you. I'm inspired, and I'm sure there's a lot of folks in this room that feel the same way, and I can't wait to see what's next.
Thanks.
Yes.
Hi. Thank you for sharing your story. It was very inspiring. I just wanted to ask, if you could speak to your childhood self and say anything to her, what would you want her to know?
Girl, you've come a long way. I don't know. I guess I would say so much. I don't know where I would start. This is a good one. I should write this down. Actually, that's a good question. That maybe in a way, the wildest dream that I had that was like so far remote from my side of the brain that I wasn't even going to think I could reach it because the environment and the way I was raised would never allow me to dream that far, is not far enough. So shoot even further. Are we good? Does anybody want to take pictures?
So I think we can conclude.
Oh, one more. One more.
Hi, Amina. My name is Lori Vezai. Thank you so much for coming. I just have a question, and kind of going off the medical, equipment kind of stuff. We had a former sister city with Rochester Hills and Toos, and we had, over $100,000 ready to go in medical supplies. We had an ambulance, and Montenegro kind of stopped us. Again, these were all because they were designated for Mysore primarily.
How funny.
We were
wasn't allowed to vote.
Yeah. So I guess how can we kind of drive around the roadblocks and get, what these people, what they deserve?
I don't really know, because when I go back to Montenegro, as developed as it is and as most famous 007 movies, you've seen it, and there's mega yachts and everything. At the end of the day, I go back to my center of Tuzi, which a lot of you know, and the hospital, the ambulance is the same exact way when I was a kid. Nothing has changed. So I'm just hoping, to answer your question, with the new election and with the new Comuna Tuzit Malsis that we have, I'm just hoping that they will be able to fluctuate and change things around. As I said, there's a lot of corruption in the Balkans. So I wouldn't be able to say much more than that.
Oh, one more. Are you game?
Yeah, I'm always game.
I'm going to say a few words in Albanian. Mi përshëndes të gjithëve, unë jam Rushdi Gjokaj, kryetari i shoqatës Adhetare Malësia e Madhe. Deri tani po ishte përgjigjem zonjës i Vezaj këtu.
Bravo, here we go. We have somebody who can really give you an answer.
Unë isha atash në zgjedhjet e 3 marsit edhe fituam e shqiptarët për të parën herë Tuzi ose Malësia do të jetë e udhëhequr nga shqiptarët. Më thënë edhe kemi folur për këto gjëra, për ndihma, do më thënë na kanë kërkuar edhe disa ndihma për atje, do më thënë na kanë kërkuar një herë edhe një minibus për nxënësa, na kanë kërkuar një automjet për me pastruar borën, edhe një zjarr fiks. Do me thënë, atë që jemi të poshtë, sa Podgorica i ka hjek të gjitha ato asite që ka mujnë për këtë vjet edhe neve na ka lënë thatë. Kështu që çdo donacion i cili do të bëhet, edhe neve kemi fol edhe me Eminën, se Emina im të parë ku shri. Kështu që ndoshta do t'i bëjmë forcat edhe bashkë, se neve si malsor këtu në Malsi kemi çuar deri tani $1.3 milion për 17 vjet që ekziston shoqata jonë. I kemi nda të varfërve dhe studentave. Këtë vit kemi pas 30 studenta, të gjithë bukur dhe të edukuar si që jeni ju këtu, edhe ju uroj sukses. Nëse keni do një pyetje tjetër, do më thënë për sa donacionet e tjera, të gjitha do të shkojnë në TUS, ata i prenojnë me vrull. Përpara nuk kanë qenë shqiptar dhe nuk ju ka interesuar për shqiptarët, ato duhet të ditë. Por neve tani jemi ata të cilët e kontrollojmë vendlindjen tonë. Amina, faleminderit që je këtu, më vjen mirë që ju takuame. Më kujtohet kur të kom bajë si fëmijë.
A lot has changed.
Yeah, absolutely. Kur të ardhëm të
I'm too tall now.
Kalem mirë gjithë.
So for everyone that did not understand, he basically was explaining sort of in a way what I said, that the Albanian people of Montenegro have requested basic things like a fire truck, because we don't have one in case of fires. They have to come from Podgorica, which takes that much longer. And they have requested a minibus for children, like a school bus. And as I said, the elections have happened, and now Albanians from Montenegro are running the region where Albanians live. So we are just hoping that they will be able to do something differently that hasn't been done since Albanians have existed in ex-Yugoslavia, which is forever and before. So, more? Okay.
One last question.
Hi, Amina. I'm Giovanna Stanai. You have such a universal personality, and you're so genuine, and truly our spokesperson. You're the Albanian people, the person, truly for the world. What is your biggest wish for the Albanian community?
I have a lot of wishes for Albanian community, but I would really, truly love to start at the beginning. We have to be more united. I know this is a big room, but this is not even a glimpse of how big this room could be tonight. And we need to teach our children that where we come from, it's not something that can be forgotten. Where we come from is where our roots come from. Those roots have been fought so hard for us to have a life today that we have. And don't forget, because someone might have lost their life for you to be here, and someone might have fought so hard to make sure that you don't go to sleep hungry. So unite, people. We only have each other. Thank you all. Thanks.